secrets to happiness. It took us on a journey across 3 continents in search of that holy grail, a happy life.
In the new book, Blue Zones of Happiness, and in this month's National Geographic, author Dan Buettner tracks down the world's happiest people to find out what they can teach us, and NBC's Cynthia McFadden tagged along for that ride. That's a cool assignment.
It was very cool, and what an adventure it's been. Do you know that about 40% of your happiness is dictated by your genes, about 15% by your environment, but that leaves 45% up to you. And few have that extra happiness figured out, like the Danes. Can a bike lane lead to a happier life?
Here we go.
In Copenhagen, this is how half the city gets around.
This city bicycles more than any other city on earth.
I mean, it's incredible, and everywhere you go, there are bicycles.
1.2 million kilometers per day. That's the equivalent of 35 trips around the world. The city of Copenhagen estimates it saves $15 billion a year because people are biking to work instead of driving.
And National Geographic's Dan Buettner says that gives them something else to brag about. For 40 years, Denmark has ranked as one of the happiest places on Earth.
It's not a coincidence that people are happy here. The happiest people in the world are interacting face-to-face like we are right now, 6 to 7 hours a day. You can't do that when you're in your car.
But Buettner says bikes are just one way the Danes make life less stressed and more joyful.
When I think of happiness, I think of 3 different qualities. How much pleasure you have in your life, how much pride you have with your life, and living with a sense of purpose.
Here, no job is less than any other.
Do you have any hesitation telling people you're a garbage man?
No.
It's a job you can be proud of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alan Christensen works just 5 hours a day, but earns the same as a school teacher.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
I would say maybe 8. Yeah.
Ambition is not celebrated. No matter what you do, you're no better than anybody else.
And while some studies show the average American clocks in over 50 hours a week,
here on average they work 37 hours, and they have very clear punctuation between their work life and their social life.
It's a very happy community.
Lona Dang's happiness comes with cooking dinner just once a month.
Dinner's ready.
But on that one night, she has to cook for 100 people. But the rest of the time, she can relax with her family in one of Denmark's co-housing communities.
And they call it Bofelscape, which is not quite a friend, but more than a neighbor. They can count on this support. Mothers don't have to worry so much about childcare. In Denmark, you get a year off. Paid.
Do you lock your door?
During the day?
Yes.
Never.
And out on the sidewalk, all by herself.
There's a baby.
You'd be arrested in New York for this. Trust is even more important than wealth when it comes to happiness. And there's a feeling here in Denmark that nothing too bad will ever happen to you.
The Danes trust their government.
Yeah.
They pay enormously high taxes.
Every Dane is born with the right to free health care, free education through college, comfortable retirement. They're free to pursue a job that meets their passions and their interests.
Alex Monroe's passion is Ledreborg Palace, his family's home for 8 generations.
How many bedrooms do you have?
Bedrooms is a good question. It's a very good question.
It wasn't designed to be a hard one. He's housekeeper, butler, and handyman of this gorgeous but somewhat crumbling estate.
I mean, you take out the garbage here.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Yourself.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
His happiness comes from seeing this part of Danish history preserved for everyone.
I think I would probably put myself at a 7 or something like that. I still look forward to finding the woman of my life and having kids and all that sort of stuff. My level of joy and happiness can go up.
There are going to be a lot of people watching this who say they could take you right up there to a 9.
And if you need more proof of just how happy they are here, look what the garbage man does when another truck got in his way.
We thought he was going to yell at the guy, because that's what would have happened in New York. But
yes.
no.
So Danish road rage is he got out and asked if he could get out of the way.
Do I need to move?
Do you don't have room enough? Oh, yeah.
When everybody has that attitude, you have just a lower baseline of stress.
Sorry. Can't stop.
Which certainly helped me and my producer,
Jake, you're getting some weird looks.
on our own search for happiness.
You know, for a woman who couldn't figure out how to work her brakes, you were phenomenal.
Look, in fairness, they were foot brakes and they were tricky. By the way, here in America, the amount of time we spend in our cars has tripled since the 1970s, and that is not making us happier.
Wow.
Really beautiful
That was
place,
awesome.
too.
Right.
Oh.
5 tickets to Copenhagen. Thank you. Let's go over to Dylan. And coming up, much more with the great
Our special series, Secrets to Happiness.
How can two vastly different countries produce some of the happiest people on the planet? NBC's Cynthia McFadden is back with the answer. And some hand gestures.
It would be hard to imagine two more different places than freewheeling Costa Rica and legally rigid Singapore. Yet both are among the happiest places on Earth. Come along as we try to find out their secrets. What does a dancing avocado salesman with just a few dollars in his pocket have in common with a multi-millionaire cruising around in a $500,000 sports car?
It's like a rocket.
Exactly, that's right.
Each lives in a country with its own express lane to happiness. In Denmark, National Geographic explorer Dan Buettner showed us why the wealthy and orderly Scandinavian country consistently tops happiness surveys. Short work weeks, social support, even bike lanes are all part of their happiness recipe.
Are you saying that one size fits all, that everybody can be happy in the same way?
You want to enjoy life day to day. You want to look back in your life and be proud of it. And you want to live a purpose-driven life. And there are different triggers to optimize each of those different kinds of happiness.
To prove it, he takes us to Costa Rica.
Their type of happiness is that day-to-day joy. As a rule, the richer a society is, the happier they are. But Costa Rica isn't all that rich. Yet, by most measurements, they're happier than Americans.
He introduces us to Trini, who earns a living scrubbing toilets, then heads straight to church.
So I asked her on a scale of 1 to 10 how happy you are. She said a 10. No matter where you go in the world, religious people tend to be happier. She was able to relinquish the worries and stresses of her life over to something bigger.
Costa Ricans also know how to have a good time. At this market in the city of Cartago, the fun is often instigated by chambres, the avocado salesman.
They put a huge priority on socializing. They will never stay an extra hour at work when there's a good party happening elsewhere.
But being this carefree would never fly in the happiest place in Asia. Buettner takes us to the country where drug crimes are punishable by death, and even selling chewing gum is a crime.
Singapore?
Yes.
Is one of the happiest places in the world?
Don't you love it?
I'm totally surprised.
They have the lowest stress and worry in their daily life this year. You know, usually there's a trade-off between freedom and security. In Singapore, you have that security.
Singaporeans are incredibly ambitious, too. Douglas Fu set out to create the Starbucks of sushi when he was just 26. Today, his sake sushi conveyor belts are in 200 restaurants in 10 countries, and he's just getting started.
And we want to bring it everywhere to the rest of the world.
He says long hours and hard work are what make him happy. A 9 out of 10.
If you could trademark that laugh, that'd be better than sushi. So this is the place where people tend to look back in their lives and be very satisfied with it. And this is the type of happiness that appeals to people who like to work really hard and then be rewarded for all their hard work.
But Buettner finds that kind of drive is about a lot more than just buying expensive stuff and exotic cars.
You work hard largely for the benefit of your family.
Yes, all of us do. Because we want to put food on the table for the family, make sure the kids go to a good school. And when that happens, you're happy.
But what about that Costa Rican avocado salesman who grew up dirt poor and dropped out of school? Why is he so happy?
A few years ago, he was down to $8 in his pocket. He gets a phone call from his friend who said, "You just won the national lottery."
Nearly $100,000 US.
When he got to the market, he erupted in cheers because it completely changed his life.
But there's a twist.
Within 1 year, he gave it all away. He gave it to his mother. There was a beggar in the market he saw every day. He gave it all away. And I asked him, I mean, aren't you sad that you blew all this money? He was absolutely not. I'm still a 9 out of 10. He got happier by making others happy.
There you go. Well, Dan Buettner says in his new book that if you move a happy person in Singapore to Costa Rica or vice versa, they might very well be miserable. Every happy place has its own special sauce. One size does not fit all.
Wow, but there are lessons to be learned for sure. That generosity is amazing.
It really is.
Cool.
That was great, Cynthia.
Really cool.
All right, tomorrow we...
Now to our series exploring the secrets to happiness.
NBC's Cynthia McFadden has been showing us what makes people happy in other parts of the world, but this morning we have to know, what is the happiest place in America?
Yes. Exactly. Well, today National Geographic is releasing their list of the happiest cities in the U.S. Any guesses? Take a look.
For every mile that you bike, you save about...
Over the past few months, National Geographic explorer Dan Buettner has taken us to some of the world's happiest places. In Denmark, we met a very happy garbage man.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you?
I would say maybe 8. Yeah.
In Costa Rica, we met the delightful dancing avocado salesman who gave away his $100,000 of lottery winnings.
He got happier by making others happy.
And we were surprised that the happiest place in Asia is Singapore, where strict government laws, selling chewing gum is illegal, seem to make people feel safer and less stressed. But how about us? Where are the happiest places in the U.S.?
There's a set of things that make just about any human happy. We love to laugh. We love to love people. We love to feel healthy. So setting up an environment so those qualities are easy to flourish, those are going to be universal no matter where you go.
And this morning, National Geographic is out with its list of the 25 happiest U.S. cities. Rounding out the top 5, the San Luis Obispo, California area. Fort Collins, Colorado is number 4. Charlottesville, Virginia, number 3. And in second place, the Santa Cruz, Watsonville, California region. And the happiest city in America?
It's in the West. People have very easy access to recreation, so they stay fit. They have very easy access to nature, so they get the stress reduction. People bike there as opposed to driving. The streets are made for humans and not just for cars. There's no billboards. And it also happens to be the place that produces arguably the most Olympic athletes in the country.
The answer, Boulder, Colorado. Bravo, Boulder. But don't worry if you don't live in one of the happiest cities, because the where is only 15% of happiness, according to Buettner. Genes are 40%. That leaves 45% that's up to us.
Is it your belief that anybody can be happy?
I believe that anybody can be happier. Science now tells us how to stack the deck in favor of that happiness.
In his new book, The Blue Zones of Happiness, Buettner outlines how, no matter where we live, we can be happier. One way, get a dog.
Just petting a dog, your cortisol levels go down.
That's the hormone that helps fight stress. Another idea? Have a front porch, not a back one.
The happiest people in the world are socializing 5 or 6 hours a day.
Have at least 3 close friends.
In the 1970s, the average American had 3 friends they could count on a bad day. We're now down to about 1. So we are a lot lonelier.
Try to have good light where you live.
Having a window that looks out on nature, you're more likely to be happy.
Get religion.
No matter where you go in the world, religious people tend to be happier than non-religious people.
Get married, stay married.
Getting married is no guarantee of happiness, but you're about 3 times more likely to be happy in 10 years if you stay married than if you divorce or you lose your spouse.
And finally, volunteer.
You always stack the happiness deck in your favor, being generous.
Will money buy happiness?
Yes, money will buy happiness, but not as much as you think. There's kind of a limit on $75,000, but it's also how you spend it. You're about twice as likely to be happy with financial security than you are buying a new thing.
So retail therapy.
Retail therapy only works in the short run.
Put yourself on the happiness ladder. Where's Dan Buettner?
Dan Buettner most days is a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, come on.
Think of my job. I work for National Geographic. All I do is trot around the globe on expense account and study happiness. It's the best job in the world.
This is, first of all, Megan has joined our table here because you're going to have more on happiness for us as well. So where do we all fall now that you've just listed those things?
So these aren't the score. I mean, you get to rate your own happiness where you are on a scale of 1 to 10. But before we get to that, how did you do on this? Let's raise hands.
Okay.
Who has a dog? Yeah.
And Charlie's over there.
There you go. We put him in the piece. Front porch. Anybody have a front porch?
No.
We live in New York City.
Okay. 3 close friends.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody. Light in where you live.
Yes.
Yes.
For New York, right? New York light.
Religion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get married, stay married.
Could you be more specific? To the same person the whole time?
Doug's going to really feel good about that.
Do you have extra credit for 2 marriages? No?
I am happy now.
That's right.
Some people are really happy.
I got bonus points.
I learned a lot from the first time.
Yeah.
Moving on. Volunteer. Everybody does that at this table. Yeah? So, okay, so those are all things you can induce to enhance your happiness. But you get to rate on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
How happy are you? Dan Buettner says he's a 9. I'd say I'm sort of more like a 7.5 or 8.
I think, I would say 8 with 7.5 days here and there.
Yeah.
8.
8?
I feel like a 9. I feel like a 9.
You're a 9 easily.
I feel like
I think you're closer to 10 now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about you, Al?
Al?
I'd say, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I've always said that I'm about a 7.5, and interestingly, I've been a 7.5 pretty much my whole life. It's not really dependent on money or job. Like, it's just, I believe you have a core level of happiness.
Yeah.
So, and as you saw in the piece, about 40% of how happy you are is in your genes, which is
What
really...
does that mean, though? Is that like because you have good health?
Yeah.
No, inherited. It's you know the biology.
Even a disposition.
It's because like when you're an Irish Catholic living in New York City like me, there's a cap. You're guilty. You miss your potatoes.
I had happy parents.
And you miss your life.
I grew up in a family where everybody had a pretty positive outlook.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that was contagious.
Yes, and it's also genetic.
Yeah.
So hey, cool.
That's great. Seriously, that's been fun.
Yeah.
I've really learned a lot from this, and I have to say, they gave me the assignment because they thought I was the grumpiest one. So they said, if we can make McFadden happy.
That's not true. McFadden floats in here every day.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
So we're actually going to have Dan Buettner on our show.
Oh, cool.
And continue this. We're going to give our audience the full quiz to see whether they are as happy as you are, Hoda, and how to get them there. And then we actually have Dr. Oz talking about what you need to be eating to be happier and healthier. And we have a show about living a happy and healthy life today.
Spoiler alert, it's not going to be cheeseburgers if it's Dr. Oz.
And 25 the 25 top cities are all on our website, so take a look and see whether your town is there.
Megan, thanks. See you in a little while.